Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Crafted together like my PvP videos from like last weekend, and kind of gonna go over it. So if you didn't get to PvP, or if you're curious about it, it's pretty rough. I'm not gonna lie, it's rough in its state, which is kind of to be expected. It's definitely an alpha, servers, node issues, people different PvP exploits, just general lagginess and bugginess. That while the combat skills feel really good. Once you have like 100 or 150 people or whatever might be there in an area, it kind of gets kind of funky. So I had a couple hours of stuff, but I kind of went through and kind of clipped out. I tried to clip out as much as I could. There's some I thought I clipped, and I guess I just missed it by too long when I went back and by the time I hit my button. So I'll talk about it still. But yeah, we'll go through this together. You guys can kind of get an idea of it, and then yeah, we'll just kind of go from there. Um, let's see here. Let's try to minimize this down or something. I don't know. I guess here we go. All right, that'll work. All right. So this is early on. I hadn't gotten a raid. There's fighting going on, so like I didn't want to interrupt for you know an invite. So I start off on this guy, and then he just like disappears. So that's like very common. I thought I had another really good example of it where like I was chasing down a guy, I dismounted him, like I killed his mount from underneath him, so then he couldn't like trying to slow him down so I could get to him. And then like he does all this zipping around, and then just like disappears, and I'm like, okay, like what's going on here? Could that be? And it could be like a render range thing. You're gonna see some clips in here where it's like there's a whole army like within like shooting range of my auto attacks, but they're just not rendering in. So like I was like, maybe it's a render range issue. Could he have just hit Alt F4 and logged out, disappeared completely? Yes, could have done that too. We don't really know. Like it looked really sloppy. Like he did his like charge thing, and then he was just like ran off in a distance. It was just gone, and I'm like, okay, like there's no real way for me to track him. He just disappeared. Like I'm running around the area. I went, just trying to get an idea of where the fuck the guy went. But you're gonna see that here. Let's scroll back just slightly a little bit. So this is not Phantom. Okay, so I'm like, okay, well, nobody's here. I'm like, okay, let me go down here, help these guys out. As you can see, like, he didn't drop down here because we have Dank and we have another mage that just died, I think, down there. Fat keyed my Y. And I also think, like, maybe it's because I am a lower level. Like, usually I'll see misses and things like that, but I feel like in these big battles that there is a desync on damage. So like you might be doing damage, and it takes a while for that to catch up, and then people just disappear. Here's kind of a good example of like I felt like I was doing damage there. Nothing was getting ignored, but it didn't ever catch up. Luckily, I was able to get that snare and take out, teammates were there to help take him out because he's obviously 5 levels higher, better geared. One thing I will say is that I like killing mounts here. And I don't know if that's like that mortal player in me where like I do have to focus on not killing mounts. I have to get back into this like tab target. I mean, it's not a theme park, but it's very theme parkish from where I'm coming from the last couple years to where like in like the hardcore that I'm used to playing, you want to, if I dismount them, they can't get the fuck away from me. So kind of the mount has been trained in my brain, like, yo, kill the mount, then they're stuck, and now they gotta fight me. They can't go anywhere. Whereas this game, it's not so much like you can kill mounts if they're trying to run away from you, but I feel like you really got to focus the player. But I think right there, it felt like if we look at the beginning, and this could be like, again, it could be a gear issue, it could be like a level issue, but I feel like briefly there was not a lot of damage. Like I saw numbers, but like nothing coming out of the health pool. And I don't know too much. Like I obviously you see just like quarter bars disappearing. Maybe I just didn't hit that threshold and stuff like that. So that could be as well. But yeah, let's roll into this next part. That was like we were getting wiped, so we were running away, and he was chasing and got overextended. Here's not Phantom again. This is another like desyncing issue, or I like he zips around, roots me. I'm gonna go after him. Hey, I want to get away from that skeleton. Rooted, but he comes back. Oh no, this is a different guy actually. There we go. Bloom. Boom. Boom. I thought he was going to get me. And it just seems like a lot of that damage happened like that, like out of nowhere. I don't really like this like quarter health bar system where it's just like, okay, like I'd like to see it like you would in World of Warcraft or like Guild Wars and stuff like that. Them like their whole entire health bar be drained, not just like chunks be missing. Here's an example of the render range. So like right beyond like right here, there's a bunch of them. There's like a whole raid of dudes right there. Okay. And on the bridge itself is a whole nother raid. So there's like 80 guys right there, and I'm not seeing anybody. And my guys aren't really seeing anybody. We're like targeting, the 2 or 3 that are rendering in. And for the most part, it's just like my raid that is rendering in. And you'll kind of see that a little bit here. And it makes it really confusing in comms because like I think some people it was rendering in for, and it's not for me. And I just hear people like dying, and they're like, "Oh, we're getting wiped. We're getting wiped." So I'm like, okay, I need to get. Basically, I want to sit at max range, being level 20, fighting a bunch of people that are, higher level. So it's hard to get in that position. I'm like, okay, where do I play from if people aren't rendering in? And you'll kind of see it again later on. So this is me just getting back, trying to get range. I hear the call. They're going back in, pushing harder. And they're pretty much all dead here. Another thing you have to worry about too is that like people will die and then they stand right back up on their body. Like they like instant res. And so like when I'm over here, I'm trying to stick around it, and like I feel like these guys that are in here, they didn't just like walk through all these people. I feel like either they resed there instantly on their body, or they just now rendered in, which either one's kind of an issue. We know that there's another there's a raid of them down the street at this point, so we're moving that way. And I think it's either here. Let me see here. Pulling back. I'd like to have the comms for you guys, but it's just chaos in the Discord. There's as much as you try to keep it under control, there's always the few people in there that want to talk about other things while you're in the middle of fight comms. Let's see if we can speed this up here a little bit. Yeah, this is just looting. All right, cool. So right back here. Okay, so we're right back down the street. I think they formed up at Ursin, and then they were coming back to us. But again, like there's a bunch of them out there. We're just not seeing them. I actually connected on a shot there without even like seeing a guy. I just kind of threw one out there. Let's see here, right here. We're coming around, and I kind of just throw out like a focused scatter shot, and boom, it connects right there for a white hit that a guy that's not even on my screen. So it's just the PvP is very rough. The tab targeting is not my favorite. Obviously, like I'm randomly focusing bears and stuff there. The health pool thing is kind of jank in my opinion. You don't know when somebody's close. And it also makes it feel like there's maybe desync when maybe there isn't desync. Like to me, it feels like the hits aren't registering till way later, but maybe they are. Maybe you're just not creating that threshold or breaking that threshold for that next bar to drop. But there's a whole raid of people right there. You could see like I'm not very far back. Let's go back here. Like I'm not very far away, even from my own raid. Like that they're like. They're not rendering in. Let's go back a little bit further. Like I'm right here. There's like right here 100 people. Like there's no way that this should not be rendering in for like a PvP game. You know what I mean? Like it is not a good look. And I'm not trying to shit talk. I know it's an alpha. There's going to be fucking wonky things with it. Um, if you're asking yourself why are we all purple and if we're murdering people or how they're all flagged, these are actually war targets. So this is what it looks like when you have war targets. You don't need to flag. It's like this no matter where you go. Um, but yeah, this is kind of it. Just going through, calling out targets when they do come up, when they do render in. We're pushing them back right here. They are going, falling back slowly to Ursine. I think at that point it was like called like, yo, loot up real quick. And then this is like right at the end. This is like servers were, this was like at 5:05, so servers were supposed to be down. Dank again here. Really puts out some damage for sure. Mages are gnarly. Me wanting to kill the mounts, of course, because that 10-minute timer is a son of a bitch. But yeah, just pushing up into here and holding this is kind of the key. So, putting out the GGs, this was the end, kind of like the last 2 hours of the servers being up, going to server wars and trying to focus on that PvP. Hopefully this gives like the devs like good feedback. I know a lot of stuff is submitted. I will say that, I'll just restart this and talk a little bit, but I will say that the PvP doesn't feel like terrible. Let's get through that. It doesn't feel like terrible when it works in like a 1v1, like unless you have that situation like here where like this guy just like up and like vanishes. Like where did that guy go? You know what I mean? I don't think I saw him here the rest of the time. And I'm trying to look. You can see down here. Oh, you guys can't see because my camera and I don't want to share chat. But in the bottom, it'll tell you who killed who from your war target, and he doesn't die there. So it's like okay, like either A, he escaped, or B, he alt F4'd and saved himself. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's not good. Nobody should be able to alt F4 in the middle of a fight and just like, and I'm sure both sides do it. I'm not saying like, just EPH here is doing it. I'm sure there's people from my guild doing it. Nobody wants to fucking die, but you shouldn't be using that as an exploit. But it's just, and it could be just the game. His game could have fucking crashed because there were so many people. So I'm not trying to blame the guy or anything. Like there could be a lot of scenarios there, but it does suck, and it happens pretty often. I'm sure if you've been in the server or if you've seen on your server wars, people talking shit. I know in our global there were, people at one point, like the servers crashed and like our whole raid goes away. And everybody's accusing them of all F4ing when really it's just the node is just crashed. And that's another bad part about it too, is like after you crash, great, you're back in and you're there, and you're alive. But the problem with that is now you're like not even in your raid party. Sometimes the raid will come back. Sometimes you got to reform the raid. Like the UI for like when you get disconnected, you shouldn't just automatically drop raid or drop party. Like you need to be able to stay in there and stay DC'd until like the raid leader or the party leader kick you. Like I don't know how that's a hard thing, but that's what just needs to happen. This poor level 4 here, wondering what the fuck's going on. I will say that like some classes feel really hard to kill. That feels like there's a lot of good getaway mechanics. I definitely feel like I probably could have optimized my spec a lot better going into this. And I feel like this helped me a little bit because I did get in some one-on-ones. And then people just like were able to like run away from me like a cleric, like was just like, I'll just heal through this and leave. And I'm like, well, that's pretty much it. Like you're allowed to do that. Like I don't have the damage to burst down, at a cleric of my own level, if he's got more gear than me and stuff. I barely like got the guy half. He healed full and just kept sprinting away. And I was like, well, am I going to chase him forever? Like, no. Like obviously, I just realized I teed off on him, and he's only moving further away is going to make it harder to kill him. So, I don't have a lot of slows. The snare thing, I don't think maybe I didn't have it equipped. I think I went from farming right into this, so I might have had bleeds up and things like that. So, there's definitely always like make sure your spec is optimized, which I definitely didn't. I was just kind of going over here for fun for that last 2 hours. I didn't feel like grinding anymore. Like the grind is insane on the weekends. But yeah, it's, there's definitely some quirks to the PvP. Definitely needs some work. I just wanted to make this video, put it out there so some people can kind of see some of the problems it's having. I don't want to dissuade people from doing the big battles because we do need these big battles. They are important for this kind of feedback, for that rendering issue, for the exploiting of alt F4, for anything. You know what I mean? For the people that are dying, and I feel bad for them, they want to res at a shrine. Well, they stand right back up here. Guess what? They get fucking pancaked again because they're in the middle of a raid. Like, they're like, fuck, they just took another, 2% XP, which on my level, I think I was down right here. 4% was like 50k XP that I got to, grind to get out of debt. So, there's definitely there's some improvements. Hopefully, we'll see some more. That we saw huge patch notes. We saw improvements. Hopefully, just server stability, and I think just refining that render range and things like that will help. Let me know if you guys have any comments or questions. If you guys gotten some PvP similar situations, or what's going on in your guys' playtests. Anyways, guys, thanks for joining me. Appreciate y'all. Have a good one.